Hi, Chris, it's me, Jake. It's November 10th, 2016.
This is Idle Thumbs 288. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
Hey, Jake.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hey, Nick.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome.
Hey.
You guys ready to talk about some video games?
It's what I've wanted to do the most for, I would say, my whole life.
Well, today...
My life's been leading up to this day, finally.
That's strange. Today we're talking about Titanfall 2 because I played a lot of it and I think Jake played some of it,
Yep.
the campaign. I also played the latest Hitman level, the Hokkaido level, the snow-capped mountain hospital thing, and Nick has a Battlefield 1 story.
Yep. Sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into it.
So Titanfall 2, this was a game that I literally knew nothing about.
I feel like you played it because I started playing it because I was told to play it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is true. And I wasn't even aware that this game had a single-player campaign until people started talking about it, like after it was already out. I had no idea. I didn't really. I played, a few multiplayer matches of the first game in beta.
In the beta,
I believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You and the rest of its player base, I think.
Oh, really? Did it not stick around?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's unusual, I think, to be playing a game with this kind of single-player first-person shooter campaign that tries to have a lot of ideas in it. Like
when you say ideas, do you mean mechanical or thematic?
Oh, I mean mainly mechanical.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
I was
a lot of
like,
thematic ideas going on in this game.
The opening cutscene of the Titanfall 2 campaign is bleak
it's
shit.
God, it was weird. It's like, you haven't seen this, have you, Nick?
No.
The opening cutscene of this game is just this sort of like breathless guy being like, oh, these pilots, they're amazing. They run everywhere and they jump and they pilot a mech and they destroy their enemies. And it's just like all this, the footage that's going on, it's just a guy murdering everyone
Right.
just nonstop. And it's this weird like ode to a war guy in a way that is so self-serious, but it doesn't seem to...
It means nothing. It's very strange.
Yeah, like it doesn't mean anything. And it doesn't seem to be aware of how like totally... over the top it is. It's super strange.
Weird.
And the game has some of that in it too, because you play a guy who
You're just like an infantryman in the Titanfall war, right?
But you very quickly become a pilot, which is this character that is able to pilot like a big war mech,
big stomping mech.
Yeah. And
a Titan, if you will.
Yeah.
The Titan falls, as we
it's
have
a Titan.
previously discussed.
And the Titan has its own like AI and voice that it speaks to you with, and it's like your buddy, but it has this sort of neutral like war guy voice also, where everything the Titan says is like this, where it's a very commanding male voice, and your character loves him. Like your character is like, he's my buddy, and is always like, what do you think about this, BT? He's like the Luke Skywalker character, right? Where everything is like, like this is pretty awesome, isn't it? Nice move, you did it, robot. And the robot's like, yes, I did. And it's that like very intentional, like the robot doesn't have a sense of humor.
In the Paul Verhoeven version of this, though, that Titan then emits like samples of patriotic trumpet sounds and stuff. In Titanfall 2, he doesn't.
Yeah, that's what's so funny about it. So this game, it reminds me in a lot of ways of it's kind of like if a Halo campaign met like Portal 2.
Yeah, like a Orange Box vintage Valve thing.
Yeah, because it feels like Halo in a lot of ways, in that one, it's more mechanically interesting and inventive than most just kind of standard first-person shooter campaigns. It also takes place in a lot of cases big sweeping environments or like labyrinthine interior environments. Also, you are playing this character who every other friendly human around you regards as a Superman, basically, which is, in the Halo campaigns, you're constantly running into infantry grunts who are like, oh my God, it's the Master Chief, holy shit. And in this game, you frequently come upon friendly soldiers who are like, oh, it's a pilot, wow, sick moves, sir. That there's a part where you're just subject to just endless praise from these people for running on walls and stuff, which is super fun, by the way. But unlike Halo, again, it doesn't seem to be aware of how ridiculous it is. Like in Halo, I mean, Halo is also a very self-serious story and gets increasingly self-serious, unfortunately, as the series progresses. But there are also weird little stubby aliens who go blah and go and run around. And there's something.
This menace must be stopped.
Right. Yeah. Seriously. There's something about that, about just the world of Halo. Again, this is, I think, diminished over the course of the campaign, but there's something in the world of Halo that sort of is aware of its pomposity and grandeur and top heaviness, and undercuts it, I think, in an effective way, to the point where in one of the games, and I forget how long they continued this, maybe they still are, I don't think so, though, you could do things like enable confetti explosions when you headshot one of those little, grunts. And I thought that was great. I always played with that enabled because I'm like, this is ridiculous, and let's all acknowledge how ridiculous it is, and it's fine that it is, as long as we can, say so, and there are, I think Titanfall has, I'm a little more conflicted about, in part because it is so serious about itself, and also because even though the mechanics are so light on their feet, right? And I mean, almost literally, you are literally running, jumping, double jumping, wall running, doing all this crazy stuff that's really fun and really cool and really not ponderous at all.
I wish that the movement mechanics were somehow incorporated into a sequel to the 2016 Doom. Of just give me. Yeah, exactly. There you go. And I actually could do personally with a lot less of the mech stuff. It's my least favorite part of the game because it's the opposite. You like the fluid acrobatic stuff?
Yeah, the mech stuff is so ponderous, and there's so much shit on the screen all the time, and it's every mech. I'm sure there are people who are actually really good at this, and I'm I'm sure there are people who would totally disagree with what I'm saying because they simply just are better at these segments, but my mech segments always end up just being mash every mouse button and ability hotkey.
Yeah,
it's just it ends up just being unreadable nonsense.
The mech stuff, even in the little that I got into it, I mean, also having played a little bit of the multiplayer beta, it very much does feel like it's part of the lore and part of the world because it's the super weapon that you can drop in for a moment of asynchronous or of asymmetrical. Excuse me, God, I always say asynchronous instead of asymmetrical. Yeah. Jesus.
You're thinking about asynchronous level loads, which you have to talk about.
I mean, asynchronous multiplayer is a different thing. That's
right, it's just totally
chess
thing.
by
Yes.
mail.
Yeah.
But asymmetrical moments in the multiplayer where you basically can charge up and drop a super weapon into the match is a more interesting dynamic, I think, in that than in a single player campaign where you can plop into a mech man for a minute.
Right. I mean, a lot of the mech moments in the single player game are essentially boss battles where you're fighting against other kind of key enemies in mechs, and those I find to just be slugfests. They're just sort of, you trade blows back and forth, but you're better at using cover and stuff, and so you end up winning. And it's just not as interesting to me as the sort of super mobile, very player directed stuff elsewhere in the game. But the other thing to me that's tough that this game made me realize one of the reasons I really appreciate Halo, I think. And I know I talk about Halo a lot. When
people bag on me for talking about Valve and Nintendo all the time, but man, there is not a first-person converson with a gun in it where you're not let's talk about the majesty of early Halo.
I know. I'm sorry. But part of it, I think, is that I realized as I was playing this game, I was just getting straight-up bullet fatigue, which is a thing that happens in a lot of, especially modern games where the sound design is really advanced.
Where's that Halo shield mechanic, Chris?
Well, this game sort of...
It's the invisible version, though.
Yeah, well, but I mean, this game just has the thing now that every game has, including Halo, which is just your health just recharges on its own. You eventually just, you stop for a bit, and now you have your health back. It doesn't have the explicit shield mechanic of Halo, although the mechs have something like it. But it's still, you don't have, health packs or anything.
Right.
Anyway, the thing I was just going to say is there are, wacky alien weapons kind of in this game, but essentially every pretty much every gun you find, the vast majority of them essentially operate the way that just real world modern assault weapons do. So there's just a lot of like firing bullets that sound like bullets, and it just sounds like a war movie constantly.
You want more like weird charge up pulse weapons and stuff, and not
that just like they sound wacky and they don't really remind you of just like actual real war in a way that like I find it sort of just psychically exhausting to constantly hear and be the cause of hearing just actual real assault weapon bullets firing. And like I know that's not something everyone will agree with or be able to relate to, but just it's something that is hard for me to get past. And like, let's be honest, especially this week when I could use some like I could
confetti.
Yeah, I could use some more confetti and maybe some less just like sounds of like literal sounds of actual gunfire war.
I could really use 2005 era Bungie rejoining and making a new team that makes a game just for me. This week, America.
Yeah, I mean this isn't Titanfall 2's fault, but I have been
but it's our fault collectively as a nation.
Yeah, well, I mean I've also this has been a thing for me for years now. Like it's just been harder and harder for me to deal with like realistic gunfire sounds for hours on end.
Yep.
That's just not something that is easy for me.
You need the mod where all the sound effects are made by some guy's mouth.
Man.
Yeah.
How to make this even more like a orange box
Yep.
or a Valve thing. Have a guy replace all the sounds with him going pew pew.
Oh, yeah,
pew.
the existence of a huge AAA grade single player campaign that is focused not entirely, but whose movement and stuff is based on just weird dance acrobatic stuff is rare enough that I wanted to play it for that reason. But yeah, everything else inside of it.
Well, and they do a really good job, I think, at like one of the reasons I say it's full of ideas is because at frequent points during the campaign, and Jake, I imagine if you're not super far into it, you haven't seen a lot of this stuff yet, but there are a number of points during the campaign where they just throw in just wacky ideas that don't really need to be predicated on the setting or tone of the game.
Like what's an example?
So
of
an example of that is, and this is, I guess, a spoiler, but I don't really know. It's the story.
Titanfall
of this
2
game,
spoilers begin now.
The story of this game is not like interesting or worthwhile enough for me to think it matters that much.
If you haven't read the latest Titanfall novels, you might want to stop listening for the next 2 or 3 minutes.
This just spoils something that mechanically happens, so I'm sorry. But if
you haven't read the design document of Titanfall 2 yet.
So there's a point in the game at which you start sort of blinking back and forth in time.
Oh yeah, I saw on Gainer's Twitter feed, on Steve Gainer's Twitter feed, there was a thing that just said like press X to time travel, and just that screenshot.
I saw that as well.
Yeah, okay, I didn't see that, but in mine it was middle mouse button
or whatever.
The mouse, but like, but yeah, it's when it first happens, it is outside of your control, and I thought it was maybe a little showy but then you like quickly you get the hilarious button that is like, press to time travel, and it ends up being really, really cool because you can literally do it in the middle of jumping. Like you can jump like off a wall, time travel to the other timeline where there's still a wall over here, wall jump off of it, jump again to the version where the walls are all destroyed, and now you can get through the area that had like a laser grid, but now it doesn't.
I need to play the rest of this fucking campaign because of that. You've just made me.
Yeah, it's like, really cool, and there's like that's the most extreme showstopper example that I've encountered so far. But it is an intensely like imaginative. I thought. I mean, it's a simple mechanic in the sense of like light world, dark world. Like a lot of games have dealt with it over the years, but the sort of the depth to which it's integrated into your like millisecond to millisecond gameplay is really
great
cool.
Thing to also write in on top of the like the movement system in Titanfall, even from the first one, was always like if the hallway is narrow enough, you can never touch the ground in that game if you get good enough at it. So that plus being able to change where the ground and walls are at a blink of a button is really cool and does get into even more portal-y shit. That's really neat.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever I definitely thought that stuff was extremely, extremely well implemented, well designed, and well conceived. And I got really excited every time I had that sort of Prince of Persia Sands of Time feeling of like walking into a zone and seeing a bunch of just sort of floating vertical walls. And I'm like, I know what this is for.
Sick.
Hell yeah.
Gonna be good.
Gonna be good. Less excited when I would enter an area that's just sort of a big arena grinder with lots of enemies. And,
Yep.
I know you can obviously still use all your crazy jumpy stuff to make that better, and like that's true. But it's to me like the real highlights are when
Well, you gotta kill everyone, and then once threat neutralized has happened, you can you have to take it in steps, Chris. First, murder all the guys, and then
once Mario declares threat neutralized. Did you see this, Nick?
No.
Oh my God!
It's a relatively old post on a forum somewhere, I think, but it's a very good image. Was that from GameFAQs or Yahoo Answers?
It was from like one of those sites where you can ask a question publicly, and then the game will like,
or the community will answer.
The community will just answer it, and it will pick the best answer. Yeah. So this is really good. So it was GameFAQs, yeah, and it was a question. This was 7 years ago about New Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo DS, and the question is, what does Mario say at the end of a level? And then the first reply is, I think he says threat neutralized. My girlfriend, he says, that's so nice. I just don't hear it. I realize I could be wrong, but maybe this place could end the debate. and then someone says
threat neutralized.
Yeah. And then Midgard Dragon 99 replies, threat neutralized is just not something Mario would say. And then Justino01 replies, I thought he was saying pizza tonight. To which Muddy Maestro replies, to me, it has always sounded like he says patronized. Malidizione replies, oh, I thought he said woohoo, bacon tonight. So
these are all true facts.
Yeah.
Mario actually says all of these things on a random roll.
Right, yeah.
And then Sky Traveler very confidently declares, it is thank you so nice. His English is not supposed to be very cohesive. So now you know.
God, now I want to hear that file. I want to hear the sound file.
It just sounds like
It's incomprehensible.
It's just
I mean, I'm sure he says something. He probably does.
highly compressed.
He
just
probably
sort
does say threat neutralized.
of- He might as well.
But yeah, you got to get Mario to roll up into these arenas and neutralize the threats for you, so you can then just do wacky jumps. Because as we know,
Just like Mario.
Mario neutralizes threats. Titanfall pilots do wacky jumps up walls. Let's get this.
That's true.
We now know
Yeah.
from GameFAQs and from our own experience what the core Mario experience is and what the best parts of Titanfall are. So I think we can deduce how this pairing of characters would work in the upcoming Mario and Titanfall at the Olympic Games.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past modern, like crazy internet video compositor people to somehow overlay a Mario bouncing and wall jumping alongside Titanfall guy. I could see
The easiest way would probably still be to do a GPU rip of a Titanfall level, then put it in Unity and download the torrent of that ripped Mario 64 moveset,
right,
and then just literally videotape it.
Yeah. God, they made. I mean, Titanfall, I think, is still using
Source Engine.
the Source.
It's in
engine.
Source Engine.
Yeah.
Weird.
So
not,
this is
not
true.
Source 2.
No.
Wow.
Source. From the engine that brought you Half-Life 2 and Portal comes this game that is kind of weirdly in that lineage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird. They're still using the Hammer editor, which I guess Valve still is, although it's not as though Valve was making.
They use it, I think, still for
Oh, do they use it for
Dota and
stuff?
CS
Okay,
content.
yeah,
I mean,
that's true, of course.
Counter-Strike exists.
Yeah, no, of course it does, yeah.
Counter-Strike has always existed, Chris.
True.
The Simpsons of video games. Counter-Strike. Threat neutralized.
Well, so yeah, I suppose that wraps up Titanfall. I have enjoyed the campaign, obviously, on balance. But I guess I'm glad that this was probably always going to be a game that had just a lot of shooting enemies. So I'm really impressed at how not how much the campaign was not a sort of paint by numbers affair. Like, it's clear that the design team on this game really just went all out.
Yeah,
on the
it feels
stuff
like
that
they treated having a single player campaign in their sequel to a multiplayer game as an opportunity instead of as an obligation.
Right, for sure. Yeah, this wasn't a case where it was like, we can't, we have to capture a certain audience, and we just need to like put the B team on getting it, because a lot of games have that, and it's always kind of depressing. Usually in the other direction, with a multiplayer mode added to a single player game. But this is a really fully built out, impressively complete single player.
Seems
campaign.
like this year a lot of studios made that choice. Like I hear the Battlefield campaign is apparently very impressive. I'm not going to play it, but I hear that's also the case, that they must have just decided, like, I don't know. I think Titanfall and the whatever the last incarnation of Battlefield was got hit for that. So I think they probably just said,
Titanfall didn't even have a single player campaign, did it? The first one?
I don't know if it did. It was very small.
Maybe it didn't. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's cool though.
Yeah,
I want to play it now.
It was fun. I mean, it's still. I'm not done with it, but I must be pretty far through. I mean, I've been playing it for a bunch of hours, and it doesn't. You never know these days, though. I don't know. I mean, traditionally, I would have thought that how far through I am right now would be just about to the end. It really feels like it, both in terms of story beats and just amount of content. But who the hell knows? I don't know.
You haven't played the multiplayer at all, right?
Not of Titanfall 2, no.
Yeah. I imagine the multiplayer does not have time traveling between two different versions of the map, but that would be fucking weird, right?
It would be really weird.
If you're like, guys, timeline A is getting fucked, and then just everyone has to blink into the alternate version.
That would be really cool, actually. That's actually, that sounds really...
Yeah, that would be really cool, because the part in the single player campaign where you do that, the enemy NPCs are like, what's going on? He's right over there.
Yeah, if you're like a Lord of the Rings ghost army, the other half of your team out of the other timeline.
Yeah,
anyway.
in the single player campaign, it's an unlimited resource, but in multiplayer, you could imagine doing that.
Where you have a cooldown on jumps.
Yeah, where you have a cooldown, or like it's recharges, or a number of uses, or anything.
For all we know, that stuff is in the single player because it's in the multiplayer and we just haven't played it.
Yeah, it's totally possible. Although I feel like we would have heard about that or seen videos, people would have been freaking out.
Yeah, the play of the day of three guys blinking and then punching someone in the face.
Yeah, man. I wonder if they tested that and found it was like incomprehensible.
Yeah, maybe.
But who knows? I mean, it seems like you could make like a game jam game or like a IGF scale game with that mechanic. It would be a bad idea, actually.
Also, no one would play it because
yeah. I was just gonna say it would be a bad idea to make your multiplayer indie game with something that esoteric, because you would never get an audience. But yeah. Speaking of which, IGF has started. Are either of you guys judging it this year?
No, I didn't get written to this year.
Yeah.
I did, but I haven't dug in yet.
Yeah, nope.
Yeah.
Other people have tried to steal your login, though.
That's true, actually. I've had multiple occasions in the last week where I've gotten a bunch of password reset emails sent from various gaming services, presumably because people are trying to hack my shit.
They heard that you have early access to all the latest games.
I just what the IGF.
The IGF, yeah.
Well, Nick, do you want to tell your story?
My life story, Chris. Where should I begin?
Well,
Jasper's tale.
I think your mom had a good starting point.
What?
Your mom literally kept a diary of your life.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
We never really took that as far as we could have.
That's also
we
true.
have like actual stories, real time stories.
Neither did Nick.
Ouch.
Well,
yeah. Well, anyway, guess I'll talk about Battlefield now.
Wow, you don't have
in
to.
My life.
I mean, I can talk about Hitman.
No.
I can talk about Battlefield.
Battlefield Now is the next Battlefield, by the way. Always online.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I had more crazy, weird Far Cry moments, and there was one in particular that I wanted to sort of recount. All right. So on the podcast, I talked about the horse riding, which is actually like did I not mention that?
I think you talked about it a little bit. You mostly talked about
really good.
You brought up that it is there.
It was. So I think that was in the bubble of your tank escapades.
Yeah. So basically, anytime there's a possibility of riding a horse in this game, I'm just taking it. Like,
sure.
And it's not always what you want to do, because there are levels that are.
But it's always. Well,
but it is always
what I want to do. But there are levels that are like constrained enough to where it's ridiculous that you're riding this horse around at full speed, because there's just rubbles everywhere and just hard walls, like right angle, like stuff where it's just like you don't like basically because the momentum of this horse is actually fairly accurate. If you, for instance, like drive your horse straight into a wall, turning around,
the horse dies.
Well, yeah, I mean it should, but turning around just takes forever. Like you're just, you're pulling the reins of this horse, and you're just kind of, it's just kind of like slowly turning. Meanwhile, just bombs are falling, and just there's a guy next to you who's just trying to shoot you point blank.
Yeah.
But because this horse also acts as like a weird shield in a lot of ways, because there's the horse takes damage and you take damage separately, and so the body of this horse acts as this weird like barrier where people have to be really good to like shoot you off of this horse. It's strange. Anyway, so I enjoy riding the horse because
you're a horse sponge.
It's the Far Cry 2 Jeep of this game, where it is either really action packed and like a perfect moment of just going down a road and like doing cool heroic shit, or it's just like Jeep in the fucking lake. I fucked up, and I had this moment where I was on this sort of desert map, like an African setting. I don't know what it is supposed to be actually, but anyway, essentially there's like a town kind of in the southern part of this map that's actually takes up a huge amount of space, and there's like a castle and all this stuff. But then the north end of the map is actually fairly barren and just kind of devoid of any like there aren't any flags up there. There's nothing to like do up there. It's just space, which is actually a really interesting choice. Like I think the multiplayer levels in this game, they made good choices in that there isn't always something to do in every corner of the map, which leaves you space to, like, if you're in a plane, you can just kind of fly over here for a while and have a like little dogfight, or just escape from the battle for a while and just kind of like mentally recover. But what it leads to is that sometimes you think you're fine. Like sometimes you're just running through all this empty space and you figure like, well, I'm not going to run into anybody up here because the battle's over there. I can see the battle. 63 other people are just like fighting over here, and I'm just kind of like doing my thing.
Just horse
yeah, I'm just riding my horse. And so I was just riding my horse and just kind of mindlessly thinking about like basically anything other than this video game. And and I see this guy way in the distance, and in this game, sniper rifles, when you're aiming down the sight, it creates like a sprite of like the glint off of the scope for every other player.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really cool. So you can see when somebody has decided like, oh, I'm now going to try to shoot you from a far away distance. And so I see this guy.
But you have to presumably still be pretty perceptive.
Yeah, you do. It's it's white on sometimes a background that is fairly blown out, and so the contrast becomes a thing. But in any case, I saw this guy and I was like, all right, well, this is a thing. I'm on my horse. He's way the hell away, but like, I guess this is now just a duel. Like this is now just like a one-on-one
right,
like stare down
Sniper
contest. Like this is a whole thing. And so,
That's just like a way shittier version of a Lawrence of Arabia moment, basically.
Oh, it is a Lawrence of Arabia moment. Yeah. So, like, you look like Lawrence of Arabia on this horse. And so I draw my sword, and, I hit the sprint button, and now my horse is, like, galloping towards this guy, and he starts to fire, and I can hear, like, the crack of the bullets just whizzing by, and it's just, like, all of a sudden, the rest of this, like, 64-player match, is just completely somewhere else, and I'm just in this weird moment. And so I'm just going after this guy, and you have to time when you use the sword, you have to time it really well. It's not, because otherwise it would just be overpowered. And you do this sort of slash off the side of your horse, and you also have to make sure that you line it up properly. Like you can't just you have to be fairly close to him. It's a really precise thing. And so I'm just like
decapitating someone when on a horse with a sword.
Yeah.
As it would be.
Well, also people can just you can go into like a prone position in this game, and so people can fake you out. Where at the last second they drop to the floor, and you try and get down there, and you can't do it, and it's hilarious. So I'm just galloping towards this guy, and I'm like, all right, this is gonna be great. This little duel, I'm gonna win this duel, and it's pointless, but it's gonna be great. And so I get up to him, and I'm get ready to slash, and I slash, and I miss. And because the horse has such momentum, I can't turn fast enough. And I realize in that moment that beyond him is this like cliff that it just drops.
Right.
And of course, this horse just like jumps, it just does the auto jump.
Yeah.
And now I'm falling off the side of this cliff, and I look down, and there's like a river. And I'm like, oh, okay. this is just the moment where I jump off the horse,
Right.
and the horse flies down, and I leave the horse behind, and now I'm in this river. So I jump off the horse in midair, and I actually didn't really know if I killed the guy or not. Like it just kind of like all of this happened all at once.
Yeah.
And so now I'm falling off the thing. I fall in the river. And the horse just kind of whatever, just does
Sorry,
the thing
horse.
that, like
It's
a
a horse anymore.
It does the thing where it's just standing in water that's too deep, but it's not gonna they're not gonna do like a horse drowning animation. So it's just kind of like standing there with water up to its ears, and I can't click on it anymore, and it's just kind of looking at me like, you idiot. It's now just the Far Cry Jeep just fucking stuck, and now I'm swimming.
Imagine, so these multiplayer games get more detailed by the year with like more and more extraneous third-person animation for stuff that isn't strictly required. Give them another few iterations of this, and that horse will be flailing around and drowning.
Or that horse will land, and then there will be majestic horse swimming animation.
That's also true. Yeah.
It'll be like
You can make it horsey.
yeah, it'll be full like weird horse diving.
Yeah. So I'm in this like river or lake or whatever. And up on the top of the cliff, I can hear this guy.
Is he shooting at you
walking?
still?
No, but I can hear him walking. Like, the sound design in this game is such that you just start to imagine things that are happening, that you can hear them, and it's always accurate. Like, you can hear, like, cinematically, you can hear him just sort of, like, trying to figure out what happened to me. He's, like, creeping up to the ledge, and you can hear the rustling of the rocks. And so now, like, the cliff has, like, an overhang. And so I sort of swim underneath this overhang, and I'm trying to hide from this guy, because when you're on a horse, your rifle is just this shitty rifle. Like, after you leave the horse, you're just a shitty guy. Like, you're not like you're not a cool guy.
Absorbs your good guns.
Yeah, basically. You don't get the sword anymore because you're not on the horse. It's just
you watch your horse like slowly sinking. He's got your rocket launcher and your machine gun and everything. It's just staring at you, giving you the side eye.
Right? Yeah. So I'm hiding under this cliff.
Just, you deserve this.
Yeah.
I'm hiding in this cliff, and I realize, like, this guy's just going to play the long game. Like, I can't do any... what am I going to do? Just sit here for the rest of the game? Like, I can't... He's obviously just waiting up there. He's not going to come down here because he knows he's going to get shot. So I start to sort of peek out, and then he starts to just shoot into the lake, and he can't get an angle on me. So now it's this weird thing where I pull out my stupid pistol and I'm shooting at him, and now it's just like a weird like Leslie Nielsen moment where like we're not that far away, but we're just taking shots at each other, and that went on for like 2 minutes, like a good 2 minutes, where we're just not going to give up on this like stupid duel
of course.
that we've like invented for ourselves. And so finally I run out of bullets, and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do? Like, I can't, this is now just like a blood feud. Like, I can't leave this, I have to kill this guy. I can't lose this stupid thing. And so only thing I have left is this grenade. And so I start to wade out to the middle of this lake, and he's sort of like fallen back behind a rock to reload or something. And I grab this grenade and I throw it, and it hits kind of the very, very top polygon of the edge of this thing. And there was probably like a fucking like coin flip as to where the physics of this thing was going to direct this grenade. Of course, it comes back down, straight back down on like, and it didn't. It literally rolled down the hill. I mean, it rolled down that cliff. It hit like 3 or 4 different rocks and then bounced right back on my head. And the reason I wanted to tell this story is the last beat of this thing, which is that the sound design of this game is so good that when the grenade dropped into the water next to me, my guy went, ah, ah, ah! And then it exploded and I died. Just like to go through 10 minutes of this fucking stupid thing where like, and then for the last moment, this guy, my first person guy, to just be like, oh no, ah, ah, ah! It explodes and I die. I was just so like impressed with the game, but also like just completely destroyed by this moment. And I almost just I couldn't even believe it. I started typing afterwards, like, dude, that was crazy. Like, what a crazy thing. And he of course didn't respond because nobody types anymore. But oh man, I just that just fucking killed me. That like every moment of that whole exchange was just so. Like it was basically like the thing that you would want to do like as a designer to reinforce just like stupid player agency shit. Right. You know, like they just nailed every step of that, but in a way that I just completely didn't expect. It was really good. Anyway. Fuck.
Well, on that, I
Yeah.
think we should take a break.
All right.
I thought when you were talking about satisfying sound design, you were going to describe like the sploosh that
Me
the
too.
grenade
That's
made when it hit the water,
thought
but
was coming,
instead
yeah.
the guy just going, very good.
It's extremely good. This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Harry's. Harry's manufactures high-quality razors and other shaving equipment and sends them directly to your home or office. I mean, any address you want, really. Harry's stuff is pretty great. I've been using it for a while. They have the razor handle, the blades, the option of shave cream or gel. And I just saw today, I have not had a chance to try this yet, but I'm very excited to see that their blades apparently now come with, on the flip side of the blade, a precision trimmer for sideburns and beard edging and stuff like that, which their blades have not had in the past. And I wish I had gotten a chance to try this out before doing this ad, because that's a thing I've been hoping for a while.
Man, when I see you next for our next Harry's ad, you will have the crispest sideburns of anyone.
Sometimes I shave off my beard, once every month or two. I'll just go full shaven. But even my normal shave is just I shave my neck area, so I have a cleaner beard, and it is nice to have a trimmer to just get a nice crisp line. So I am excited about that. If you go to harrys.com/thumbs and use the offer code thumbs at checkout, you can get a free trial set and post-shave balm. That is the whole trial set for free. So that has the blade, the cream, the razor handle, or multiple blades, I mean. So it's got everything you need for the whole shaving experience. So harrys.com/thumbs and the offer code thumbs, and you will get that kit with the post-shave balm added on as part of your trial.
Do that.
That's
get free shaving stuff.
Get all that
deal.
stuff.
That is harrys.com/thumbs.
Exactly. It is exactly that. So there you go. It's everything you need for your shave. harrys.com/thumbs with the offer code thumbs.
Thank you so nice.
Thank you, so nice. Mario's got a clean shave. That's a precise mustache. You know.
Yeah.
And when he shaves, he says threat neutralized.
He just sort of murmurs that to himself as he's shaving.
Yeah.
For every little patch.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, for every sort of...
Threat
Threat
neutralized.
That is...
He says so nice at the end. He does
Thank
not
you so nice, I think.
It does actually sound like thank you so nice. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I think it's thank you so nice.
No, it's not thank you.
What?
There's
No.
more syllables in there.
You think?
It's so...
Threat neutralized.
I can hear it now.
Maybe it is thank you so nice.
It's so nice, just with a weird...
Yeah.
What
He
the
might be
fuck is
saying it's so nice.
I
It's
think it's
so
like
nice.
No, I think it's in the back of the throat. I think it's thank you so nice.
way.
No, it's
what?
a so,
he says
so
it's
nice.
he says it's a me Mario.
Do it again. Do it again.
Pizza tonight.
He,
I think that's thank you so nice.
No way.
No, it's
I
fucking
will
not.
go to my grave saying that's thank you so nice. That's thank you so nice.
it's not what he intended to say, though.
You think mid-sentence he just kind of...
God, that is terrible.
Yeah.
Woohoo, bacon tonight, someone also offers.
Oh, that
I
might-
don't think... That's wrong.
Woohoo, bacon
It's something
tonight?
so nice. There's definitely something so nice.
I think we can all agree on the so nice.
Mario
think we can
wants
all-
to tell you something.
He's saying threat so nice. Pizza so nice.
God, I threat neutralized. That's so good. I love the idea that someone playing a Nintendo game is so infused with the language of violent video game, just games
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
neutralizing a fucking threat. That
Yep.
it's oh well, that's a phrase that is foremost in my mind. I'm a gamer after all. That's a thing that any human would actually say ever. Clearly, so Mario might be.
That person's confused because that's actually Waluigi's catchphrase when he completes a level. Threat neutralized. A pizza tonight.
Thank you, so nice.
a strange sort of
Yeah.
melancholy harpsichord plays in the background.
Yeah. He's just very sarcastic when he's saying,
Yeah.
"Thank you, so nice."
Or
Thank
Pizza
you
Tonight.
So nice.
Thank you,
So nice.
I gotta win.
Waluigi's classic catchphrase. I guess it's more.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah.
so nice.
Did you guys see the weird tweet from Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of Hamilton? Replying to someone whose tweet was deleted. So replying to a deleted tweet, so no one knows what he was replying to.
What?
Wait, hold on. Let
He
me
said, "Thank you, so nice."
let me
He said,
No, here. Let me just
Pizza
find the
tonight.
actual-
Said Pizza
let me-
Tonight, and no one knows what he
when
was responding
Lin-Manuel
to.
Miranda replied to a deleted tweet with "threat neutralized," everyone was very confused. No, it was not that.
So
It
Lin-Manuel
was
Miranda
equally good.
has a tweet that was a couple days ago at 5 a.m. That reads in its entirety, "Always Waluigi." period.
What?
And then a link to a tweet that no longer exists. And that's the entirety of the tweet. And every reply to it is just like, what? So,
Jesus.
yeah.
Huh.
He neutralized the threat, clearly, because
Yeah.
that tweet is gone now.
Yeah.
He's not wrong though.
No.
He also capitalized the L,
Yeah.
mixed case,
Oh,
of
wow.
a controversial spelling of
controversial?
Waluigi. I would say. Well, I don't think that's canon.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen it.
I wouldn't put it past that to somehow be a capitalization of Waluigi in Japan. Are we supposed to be doing ads or something?
This episode of Idle Thumbs is also brought to you by NatureBox. NatureBox makes an astounding, dizzying array of various treats, snacks, food items for you to eat, and they will mail them in a box according to your preferences right to your home or office. If you
anywhere.
Or, yeah, exactly. Anywhere else. If you go to naturebox.com/thumbs for 50% off your first order of delicious snacks. I mean, you got to make sure to go to naturebox.com/thumbs for your order, but you can also go to naturebox.com/browse to just, if you don't believe me when I say how ridiculous a range of stuff they have, you can go to naturebox.com/browse and look at it yourself. Because it's crazy, and they seem to be adding stuff all the time. They now have stuff like lemon tea biscuits, which look really good. I would eat those immediately. Jake, you might be pleased to know about the dark cocoa nom noms. I know as a professed nom nom aficionado.
As a nommer.
As a nommer, as you would call yourselves. Baked blue corn chips, those nice tortilla chips. Honey Dijon little pretzel bites. Santa Fe corn sticks. Sourdough cheddar little bites. Zesty nacho curls. I don't even know what that means, but I'll eat some of them. That's for sure. It's still got old favorites like the Big Island pineapple slices, which are essentially inhaled the moment they arrive in our office. I love those more than most foods I can remember consuming. And they have just a bunch of other stuff now, little sort of soups and kind of little meal packs and stuff. It's getting pretty impressive.
As soups?
Yeah.
So their slogan surely is soup to nuts now.
Oh, man.
Oh, my
nice.
God.
Nice. So, yeah, they will, if you don't like a snack, they'll replace it for free. You get free shipping in the United States. You can pause your membership if you're, like, going on vacation or whatever. It's really easy to do. It's just a very straightforward, easy-to-use service. So that is naturebox.com/thumbs. For 50% off your first order of your just crazy snack box full of whatever you want. I recommend the Big Apple or Big Island pineapple slices. Can't go wrong. I think they're delicious.
You also recommend visiting the Big Apple.
Yeah, and while you're there, you can pause your membership, and you can come back.
You can go watch the hit Broadway musical Hamilton, which apparently features Waluigi content.
True. And then when you get back, you will have your delicious snacks waiting for you. That is naturebox.com/thumbs for 50% off. Video games. I don't know if this is going to make it onto the podcast, or maybe it won't. Do you guys find that it is tougher to know what to do with yourself now than you used to? Because I
you mean now that
on
I'm
what
thir-
time
you mean-
scale are you operating?
Yeah, do you mean
here?
like the
You
fact
mean
that I'm 31 years old and like,
Yes,
Well,
I just
sorry.
don't
Do you
really...
mean like literally
sorry.
like the last couple
Sorry.
weeks, or like as an
Okay.
old adult?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what I mean. Maybe you can help me figure it out.
Okay.
I have found, okay, so it's probably not a big surprise to longtime listeners of this podcast that I am kind of bummed about what's been going on in this country politically recently, and I don't want to talk about that at depth because that's, part of the point of this podcast is just to like obviously be a fun thing to the extent that it is. But the specifics of that aside, like in trying, I've been very just like restless the last couple days, and I've been trying to like, just like, oh, what am I just going to do to occupy myself and my brain? And I found that I don't really know how to do that anymore because I realized that like now my default activity, failing like some other specific thing I'm doing, is just to kind of sit around and like be on my phone. Just like ambiguously, just like on my phone. Like I'll just be like checking Twitter or Facebook or my email or like,
You're pulling to refresh, basically.
Yeah, or like following links from those places, but then ending up back at those places. And like in a moment where like you don't necessarily feel like being just confronted with like this sort of monolithic, like everyone talking about literally the same thing. I realized like I don't know what to do when I'm just like sitting around, which is kind of sad. I don't suspect everyone has this problem, but I realized like, wow, there was like a point in not too distant past when this activity simply didn't exist. Like that literally, there was just no version of it because this devices and devices like it didn't exist. The services that I'm using to sort of like interact with the internet didn't exist. I don't even mean going back to before the web was a thing. I just mean like this mode of engaging with it and with engaging with the world just didn't exist on this sort of micro scale. And it's kind of weird. Like I don't really remember what I just did when I was sitting around.
I just was on my computer more.
I guess I was just on my computer more, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pre-phone, I suspect you, Chris, I don't know what your habits were, Nick, but I was like on 4 web forums and two IRC networks.
Yep. Shack News Chatty.
Right. Yeah.
Was the Twitter of the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also, I think, even even with that stuff aside, I think that I was better at occupying myself with other activities.
Me too.
When I was younger, and I don't know if this is entirely to blame, but I think part of it is that my job is now doing the thing that I used to do to pass my time. I used to make websites and make video game content just idly to myself, even if I never released it to anyone. That was just like the busy work that I would do with my hands and my brain. Mm-hmm. When I either had idle cycles or was avoiding something or just like felt the impetus to act.
Yeah.
So in that regard, yesterday I was actually really glad that I was in the office because I was able to just pick whatever I wanted to do and just do something that was just channeling mental and physical activity into something. But like when I'm at home, I don't want to work.
Yeah. No, I just feel stir crazy, like super stir crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is the reason why I have managed to successfully throw myself into Owlboy to the degree that I have.
You never talk more about Owlboy.
I'm not done with it. I had planned on beating it, but instead I watched an election unfold until the wee hours of the morning and then was a husk all of yesterday night. So,
right.
I mean, I don't know if is that an appropriate segue into Owlboy? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
but
I don't know. What's an appropriate?
What's appropriate? Period.
I mean, I don't know if
nobody knows what appropriate means.
I didn't mean to like pre-eject from your conversation.
No, that's okay. I mean, I don't know. I had the same experience. Like it's and then last night I just played a bunch of Titanfall 2, I guess.
Yep.
And then watched Twilight with Sarah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was weird.
Did you watch like the first one or the later one where like werewolves are doing all sorts of stuff and people fuck a bed in half and all that?
It was the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, for no particular reason.
Good.
Yeah, it wasn't as like, honestly, I mean, I can't really say I sort of enjoyed it necessarily, but like, and I mean, it wasn't like, it's not like a movie she likes or anything. We just sort of we're like, this is a ridiculous way to pass the time.
Yep.
But it wasn't it wasn't offensively bad or anything. It was just sort of like a goofy teen movie with sort of a preposterous premise. But like,
I think the later
there's
ones
a lot of movies like that.
My impression is that the later films.
That's what I've heard.
I think it gets fucking weird.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, we also stopped like 2/3 of the way through. We just kind of were like, well, what's the point of still watching this? But
yeah.
So apparently,
you don't know how it ends.
Apparently, there's like a huge battle scene or something that happens, so that we didn't get to that. But
yeah.
so that might have changed my. But there was like a hilarious part where like vampires play baseball, and it's shot with like a sort of jock jam,
good.
like crazy Dutch angles as like
Yeah.
super powered people throw baseballs and hit the ball like a mile every time and then run at super speed to catch it. It's like, what the fuck? Meanwhile, I'm like playing a video game where I'm like jumping on walls and fucking running around, so I don't even know what the difference is.
It's the same.
It's all the same, I guess, really. But that's what I did last night. Titanfall and Twilight, which I only just realized have more in common than one might have imagined. Because again, the after the most extreme running jumpy part in the whole game, which is basically just like a portal level, and when you get to the end of it, all your buddies were like, "Wow, that was amazing! I've never seen anyone do that." Like it was literally just direct wish fulfillment power fantasy in just the most bald-faced way of people just saying to you,
"You're
like,
cool,
you're amazing, you're incredible," and I'm like, this kind of is just what Twilight is, but just for a different audience. But it's just people imagining they were like just an incredible person who had all their wishes fulfilled. Because your guy in Titanfall quite literally is like, I think pilots are amazing. Like, wow, I wish I were that amazing someday. And then, of course, like really early on, your mentor dies and passes you the torch in the form of a big robot.
In the form of the life's work that it takes to become one of these master pilots actually just requires another guy to die and say transfer authorization code
right and
to player character.
Yeah, and you're instantly incredible at it. Like you're amazing, and people talk about how amazing you are, and like even compared to other pilots, you're amazing.
I know. I was bummed out and slightly baffled by the fact that one of the pilot's amazing skills is a double jump, and the way that you, I guess, quote unquote, train for this is literally like a cloud computing process inside of your HUD, crunches on it for a while, then eventually says double jump online, and then you can just double jump.
Yeah.
So really, the pilots just have like faster upstream downstream bandwidth in their helmets than everyone else does. I guess they just unlock double jump faster.
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah. So I guess in retrospect, I'm actually glad I watched Twilight, because now I'm realizing, like, I mean, not that I ever had any positive or negative opinions about it in the first place. I just never like thought about it. But it makes
sense to you now?
Yeah, well, it totally does. I mean, it does, like in a way that I just never thought about one way or the other. Yeah. I mean, this is a conflict I've had about video games for a long time. Also, as people who listen to this podcast probably know, like I do find the just overt power fantasy to be kind of distasteful, and I don't really like the feeling of fake computer people in a video game talking about how amazing I am. Like I think it's kind of just fundamentally dishonest and like pandering.
Hopefully, the end of Titanfall 2 is like a crowd of people that just swarm you and beat you down and take away your mech, and then they say threat neutralized, and that's the end of the program.
Yeah.
Like they realized, this is too much.
Yeah,
no one person
should have this much power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know what that interlude was, but Owlboy, Jake.
I love Owlboy.
Yeah.
I actually, I had probably I was already more into Owlboy, I think, when you and I talked about the impressions from the first like couple hours of that game. But unsurprisingly, and fortunately, the farther into that game that I've gotten, the more the dialogue has fallen away, and the more
that's no surprise.
The like non-linear exploration of the world has scaled up, and the more it's sort of asserted itself as, what if there was a Nintendo, a Metroidvania style game that borrowed a lot of its combat mechanics from twin stick or like bullet hell shooters. And I'm sure there are other games of that style, but like I don't know. I don't even know what to say about it other than I'm liking a lot of Owlboy. I don't even know what to.
Do you feel like you're pretty deep into it at this point?
I do. I think that I'm probably a sitting or two away from completing the game. Actually, geez, maybe I'm not. We talked. Had we both unlocked 2 characters? Last time we played. Okay,
Yeah.
The game gets. I still actually don't have a 3rd character, but I know that there is one. There's characters, we talked about this a week ago or 2 weeks ago, that you play as an owl boy, who flies around, and you can carry NPCs. You have a couple NPCs in your party that you can carry with you who have weapons, and you can use the scroll wheel, at least on a Windows PC, to switch between which one of them you're carrying, because you also have a teleporter that lets you teleport these NPCs to you. The thing that they got way better at in the later game that I was hoping they would get better at is chunks of levels and enemy types and just full encounters with big groups of enemies where the strategy and sort of the fun comes from having to switch up which character you have on you all the time. Like there's enemies that are wearing a big metal mask on their face, and the only way to combat them is to throw the NPC that you're holding away so you're unequipped and just use your wing spin move, which is your sort of just melee attack when you're not holding anyone, to knock the mask off of them, and then you have to re-equip a character and shoot. Just the sort of the juggling back and forth between all of those things has some of the same feeling of sort of movement mechanics switching fluency that you get in Hyper Light Drifter that I really liked, except that it's still a lot more like lighthearted and approachable in its complexity in Owlboy. Like you get that feeling of I'm adept and I'm using all of the mechanics in rapid succession, but you're not feeling like you're just like being boot stomped into the dirt until you want to die.
That's what you want. Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping that game would sort of really just ease its way into.
It has boss encounters and like a lot of bosses. I'm kind of bummed whenever I get to a boss. But whatever. Just the variety and scope of the game is also just a lot bigger than I thought it was from the early part.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Once you get deep into weird, creepy caves that go on forever and are just gigantic Metroids, it gets really fun, as opposed to 3-screen wide caves that have cutscenes at the end of them over and over and over again, which was the first 2 hours of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to beat it, and I'm really happy with it. I'm really glad that it is out. Also, for a game like this, I found its PC controls to be really good, actually.
I do too. Yeah, the basic mechanic of sort of, at least when you have that guy you carry around.
The pea shooter guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just ends up being sort of point and shoot in a way that's just totally natural.
Yeah, it's the... use WASD to move your character around and you can fly, so you're just doing that. And then the mouse cursor is the trajectory of your bullets. The first time I ever played that was Abuse, that 2D shooter that was published by Bungie in the late 90s. I think that was the first one of those. But
deep pull.
Yeah, and not a lot of games have really done that. It actually feels like it's been in indie games more in the last couple of years than it was for a while.
There are also some games that do that are doing it simply because they're ported from twin stick games, and those rarely feel as good.
I mean, did Trine have this style of input for some of its characters? Okay.
Yeah, because you had the
like physics wizard,
the rogue with the wizard who could sort of sort of telekinesis stuff around, and then you had the rogue or archer, whatever she was, the thief, I think, who had the sort of ninja rope, Wormsy ninja rope, and a bow and arrow.
Yep.
So yeah, man, Trine. Cool. Well, I'm glad to hear Owlboy is the thing that I figured it probably would be, but wasn't really sure.
I'm not sure how much more of the game is left, and I'm now actually at a place where I'm not sure how much more of the game I want to be left.
Yeah.
Or like now that it's finally gotten into a place where it's way mechanics first and not as much about the cutscene stuff, I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm both worried that it's going to end soon now that it finally achieved that, but also simultaneously worried that there's going to be like 4 more hours or 5 more hours of just so we'll see. At this point I'm definitely going to finish that game though. So
okay, cool. Yeah, I'll probably finish Titanfall also. I just my last session ended with me just going through this huge grinder of just fighting dozens of enemy mechs, and it was
Yeah,
the least fun I've had in the game
I
so far.
Crashed my Owlboy body against the rocks of a boss for like an hour the last time I was playing, and then probably not an hour, but about 40 minutes, and then put it down. And and I said, tomorrow night I will beat this fucking boss,
That's
and then
the
probably the rest,
scenario.
probably the rest
down,
of the
and
game.
You come back and then
instead, I sat there watching a YouTube stream of NBC News.
That's fine.
And then never play. And my Owlboy just sat alone, unloved.
I think over the weekend I played and streamed the last full level of the, I guess, first season of the new Hitman game, which is set in Japan.
Did you recognize landmarks?
I didn't
from your travels.
No, because the game is set in, or the episode is set in Hokkaido, which is farther north than we didn't go to any of the sort of snowy, mountainous northern cities, which we'd totally love to if we ever go back. But this game was
so it was set in Inception.
Not really, unfortunately, but it was a really cool level. I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot more than the previous level, which I ended up. I realized when this came out, I hadn't actually yet completed the previous level, which was the sort of like farmhouse militia Colorado thing, yeah. And so I went back into it and completed it, which took me a long ass time, and then got into the final room, at which I realized there were no interactable objects. And apparently, if you have a save game that was already in the level at the time the Japan level was released, your game is bugged, and you can't actually click the thing that like ends the level.
You walk into that room and then echoey over the PA, you hear "threat neutralized," and then you're trapped in that room forever.
Well, you're in a room, and your goal is like, look around, 47, find something. And so you're like walking around, and there's literally nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, is it like under the desk? Do I have to find, like, is it hunt the pixel, or I have to, because you're in your sort of Batman detective. You can go into your Batman detective mode where interactable objects are highlighted. And nothing is highlighted, and it's just like a 10 by 10 square foot
Welcome
room.
to my devious room escape game, Agent 47.
It's
all you have to do to escape is click da da da. What? What was he saying? I don't understand. How do I get out of here?
I think he said click the pizza. There's no pizza in this room.
Well, I guess it's pizza tonight.
Click the perimeter. How do you click an entire perimeter?
Let me hear that again. Click the perimeter.
Game facts.
What is it saying at the end of the Hitman level? I think
what
he's
is it saying at the end?
Hitman will load up game facts and look.
I think he's saying stick to the perimeter. Like you have to like hug the wall. Like I walked around it 20 times. Oh. Yeah, so I was essentially going through that myself. I probably spent 20 minutes in there. So the first time I went into the room, I just sort of barged in like full combat like mode. You know how when someone spots you for real, they're like, holy shit, this guy's like an imposter, and then more people start to like be aware of this, and then they just straight up open fire. I was like, as that happened, I'd basically just broken into the room before that room, and so I was like, well, fuck this. Like I'm pretty sure this is what's going to end the level. So I used this sort of thing this like man's face, which you have to use on a bioscanner to get into a room. So I did that, and while I was in the last room, I was like, well, I can't interact with anything, but I bet that's because I'm still technically in like combat mode. So if I wait long enough, eventually people will be like, well, we lost him, and go back to their patrol route. So I was already in there for like 5 minutes waiting for that to happen. And it finally did happen. And eventually the game was back to normal, but there was still nothing interactable. So I was like, well, it must have bugged it out because I was like, I must have just ruined it by being in combat mode when I went in here. And so I reloaded an earlier save, replayed that entire fucking last part, being really careful that no one would ever see me. Still nothing. I eventually finally looked it up, and yeah, it's just this shitty bug. So I gave up, and I had to just skip the level, and the game was just like resolute in being like, you should really have completed the previous level before you go on to this one.
I fucking did.
Yeah. So anyway, the Hokkaido level is really good. It takes place in what seems to be a weird sort of incredibly posh private hospital that is it's like a spa crossed with a hospital. So it's you start as sort of ostensibly a patient who's been checked in to this hospital, which means you have a lot of leeway to just walk around as like essentially a guest in this.
There was a
spa.
Blood Money episode like this as well, where you can dress up as like a doctor or a patient or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, you can do that in this level as well, but you straight up start
Yeah.
off just in a hospital bed.
You described this scenario to me and its architecture off mic earlier, which is why I called it an Inception, because it totally sounds like a set from that film.
Okay, yeah. So to clarify, I've talked in previous episodes of this podcast about Hitman and how much I love how many of the levels in Hitman, unlike most games, like this is fairly rare, there are a lot of Hitman levels are just fully realized large-scale interior architecture that have to represent an actual building realistically, because given the way these games play, like you just have to be able to walk around. If you're disguised, you have to be able to just walk around at your will in a space that is convincing, interconnected in the way that real interior spaces are, realistically proportioned, because it's not designed, like in something like Titanfall 2, which I was just playing, the interior spaces are they don't make any sense, obviously, and they don't have to. They're just crazy corridors arranged for the purposes of your mechanics.
Like trick
and
jumps, yeah.
Yeah, if you were just walking around those buildings, they would make no sense as actual real buildings. But in Hitman, they all really, like the level designers just straight up are acting as architects and just making a space that is a space humans would actually be able to operate in normally. And you spend a lot of your time doing that yourself because you're trying to get from one place to another undetected. You're not just going through and sort of killing everyone usually, because that's not actually an effective way to play those games. And this level was really cool. There's a lot of a lot of the hallways are just pure glass, so you can see into other corridors, like across a little gap in the mountain. It's like a 3-story area with sort of ramp-like hallways that go between the different areas, and since a lot of them are glass, you can sort of get cool sight lines between different areas, and which tantalizes you, and it's like, oh, I see where I'm trying to go because I can see through like 4 hallways worth of glass. But that area is like a private. It's a totally different private wing, so I bet I have to dress up as someone else to be able to get access to there. And the main area is already pretty impressive in that regard, and then there's just this entirely separate sort of sterile, secure surgical wing, and there are 2 different targets, one of whom is in each of these different wings, the sort of spa style wing and the actual hospital style wing, and it was just really, really cool, and it's a hugely intricate, really fully built out level with a lot of different ways to complete your objectives. And I just thought it was great. I thought it was really, really, really good. I would highly recommend it. I think this season of Hitman has been amazing. I mean, I think the average quality of these levels is on par with any Hitman game to date, including Blood Money. There are so few. I mean, I wouldn't even really say there are any just full-on duds. I would say the Colorado level was my least favorite, but I know some people really liked that one a lot, and I can understand why. Yeah, I think it's been great, and I'm really glad that there's going to be another season, which they announced recently.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I hope it is done basically pretty well for them. I hope it's done fine. I kind of
if they
heard
greenlit
at
that
one
second
point,
season, that they must have.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'd heard at one point that maybe it wasn't doing as well as they hoped, but like, who knows, right?
It seems like, I mean, maybe this is not surprising, but maybe it is. It seems like the at least the press reception and conversation around that game escalated in sort of praise for that series the longer it kept at it. And when it became clear that it was going to end up being a big meaty thing, I have no idea what it's very hard to know in modern Steam how anything actually is doing relative to anything else. Yeah. Because just the people who are dissatisfied with one very specific like weird wedge issue are so loud that it ends up dominating the conversation, even if it's a spike rising up from a sea of otherwise positive things whose aggregate volume is louder than the spike. The fact that the spike is very tall and pushing itself right into your
to
face.
the world now.
Yeah, I know. But it's very hard to know. I mean, you have Steam Spy and whatever else, but like it's very hard to discern how that
especially
stuff
for an
actually
episodic
works.
thing.
Yes,
as well.
exactly.
And that adds a layer of complexity to this. That makes it
well,
really
clearly
hard to
the business
figure out.
model there is like one would hope that the sort of full SKU is just kind of chugging along and still making money, but like obviously those sales would be more distributed than a game where you try and essentially make back all your money on day one. Yeah, it's weird. And hopefully also modern streaming and let's play culture means that game is just sort of exposed to people on a more constant basis.
That's true. I actually had not thought about Hitman in terms of streaming because I'm an idiot, I guess, because like there is the audience in like the Steam forums who are freaking upset all the time that game wasn't giving them a complete Hitman game from day one. But people who don't engage in that community and get game stuff through video content, there's just new Hitman stuff to watch your like the streamers that you like play every couple months. They have a new like I mean that game. I guess I'm an idiot. I had not thought about the fact that game was in many ways built for that with there's weekly targets and stuff like that. Just like
and like the escalation missions.
Yeah, there's
they're really good.
If
For
you're a streamer
content.
who streams Hitman, you could fill up a good. If Hitman is good food for you as a like streaming content creator person.
Yeah, and I streamed. I had a lot of fun streaming. So this was the first time I'd streamed a level that was where it was my first contact with that level. Like I streamed my very first playthrough of Japan, and I was kind of worried that it would be sort of dead content because in a Hitman level, especially the way I play, I spend so much time sort of scoping it out and figuring. And I think it probably was a slow start to the stream, but like pretty quickly it gets. And because I was on a stream, I was probably being a little bit more daring than I would be in my normal sort of just like super conservative play style in those games. And it ended up being a super fun stream. I think I had a lot of fun. And Hitman games they're good for sort of chat interaction because just ridiculous things happen. Like you try something and it has like an absurd outcome, and it's just fun to be communicating with people watching along with you while that's happening. Like it's just outrageous and good. So I'm glad I streamed it, and I'll get that up on the YouTube channel for people to watch. Also, speaking of Twitch, we mentioned this last week. You can now toss us a free Twitch subscription if you have Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, you can now link it to your Twitch account for something called Twitch Prime because Twitch is now owned by Amazon. And what that does is it gives you a bunch of benefits, but one of the benefits is that you have a free Twitch subscription that you can allocate at will to any channel once a month. And you have to manually do it. It doesn't auto-renew. But if you want to toss us if you have Amazon Prime and you just want to toss us a subscription that you don't already have pledged to another channel, that's super cool. And we're actually, as a result of people doing that, after we mentioned it last week, we're super close. We are like on the verge of getting enough subscriptions to unlock 2 more chat emotes.
Chat emotes.
Yeah. So we're pretty close. We have to get those sorted out. But yeah, a bunch of people did that while I was streaming, and it was really cool to see. And it's like, well, if you already pay for Amazon Prime, it's not costing you anything, which is pretty cool. Because I know we don't stream as much as we could, and we're going to try and get back into that more. But I really appreciate everyone who has subscribed, either with their own money or with sort of a bit of their
with
Amazon
their Twitch
Prime
token.
money. Yeah, so we
or
really
Prime
appreciate
token.
both of them. Yeah. Thanks to everyone who did that.
Thanks.
Anyway, that was a really fun stream. I'll get it up on their YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/idlevideos, and our Twitch channel. You can watch that video now, or any of our past or future
our
streams.
Classics.
Yeah, at twitch.tv/idlethumbs. Okay, I think we're running pretty late already on this podcast. We have to take off soon, so I'm just going to read one goofy email, and then next week hopefully we'll have a beefier reader mail section. Graham LaRue writes, "Hey Thumbs, and specifically Jake. A couple of weeks ago, Jake mentioned a weird convenience store poorly stocked with odd decades-old merchandise. I was 4 years behind Jake at UC Santa Cruz, and my friends and I used to talk about that place all the time. It was at the corner of Bay and Mission where we'd all catch the bus, and over the course of many conversations, we came to the same conclusion as Jake. That place must have been up to something, presumably something that brought in a lot more cash than recalled Pac-Man vitamins and miscellaneous canned products from the early 90s. Also, even more of a small world thing, last year I was working at a Bay Area retail store and had Jake's dad come through my line. I recognized the last name on the membership info, and after a quick internal debate, asked him, "Hey, any relation to Jake Rodkin?" He figured we'd gone to school together, so I had to awkwardly explain that no, I just listened to his video game podcast, a fact that he handled quite graciously. He was a really nice man. Best wishes, Graham.
Wow. That was a good mail.
Yep.
You did find the best one.
I have a nice dad, and he told me when that happened. He said someone in a store.
Oh, did he really?
Oh, nice.
Someone in a store asked me if I was related to you. He didn't. I mean, he was a proud dad, and
That's
also
good.
a slightly confused dad.
Yeah.
I'm glad that other people have encountered that strange ass store, and I miss it.
Yeah.
I wish that I had taken a lot of photographs of that place just as like a production design archive.
Right. For Stranger Things 2, Season 2, production design, yeah.
Except not, though. Like, the thing that was good about it was that it was in the early 2000s, but it had things in it from the 70s through the 90s.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, here's one more other just dumb email that'll go real quick. Matthew Cole writes, "Today I had to drive to the Japanese grocery store 40 minutes away, clear on the other side of town, to get something for a recipe I was trying. When I got there, while dumbfoundedly thumbing through a translated hardcover of a 16-year-old Star Wars novel that was sitting on their magazine rack, I overheard a mother tell the store clerk working the checkout desk that it was their first time there. 'Oh, really?' he said, surprised. 'How did she,' and he mentioned to the woman's daughter, 'know all of those different snacks then?' Well, the mother replied, she watches a lot of those YouTube videos of people eating Japanese candy and stuff. That's what she wants to do with her life, too. She has a camera that she's set up and everything, so she's going to make some videos of the ones we're getting today when she gets home." Shopkeeper replies, "Oh, ho, ho, well, I can tell you'll be a natural at it, little lady. Pretty soon you'll move from the computer screen to the movie screen, I bet." There's your competition, Nick.
Jesus Christ.
What a weird conversation. Why did no one involved in that conversation remark on what a strange phenomenon this is?
It's not strange, Chris. It's
I
the
guess
life
it's
we
not.
live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
Too bad there's not a food sampling YouTube series where people went to that old grocery store and managed to get the guy to give them stuff and then ate it. I think that store is now closed and got flipped into something else. I don't think it's what it is anymore.
Yeah. It's probably a vape shop now. It's the new weird suspicious front of choice.
It's probably a vape shop. Hopefully it stays a vape shop for like 30 years too long and then it's a weird vape shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Okay, thanks for listening.
Bye.
You can send us email yourself at questions@idlethumbs.net. We have a Twitch channel, as I mentioned, at twitch.tv/idlethumbs. You can watch all those videos. I'll get those Hitman one-ups soon at youtube.com/idlevideos. Facebook at facebook.com/idlethumbs. Twitter at twitter.com/idlethumbs. And consider rating us and reviewing us on iTunes or telling a friend about this show. It helps out a lot. Thanks for listening. We will be back next week.
Bye. 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 What does Mario say, Nick?
He's right, neutralized.
Yeah. I think Mario says support
What did
down
he
ticket
say?
candidate 2018. It's weird that's what he says, but
That is strange.